Sue Bird asserts WNBA's petty Caitlin Clark narrative began with Diana Taurasi. The NBA legend Sue Bird stated that the origin of one of the league's most predominant anti-Caitlin Clark narratives began with an interview she and Diana Taurasi conducted. Despite the WNBA semifinals being underway, much of the discourse surrounding women's basketball over the past week has been about an interview question that USA Today reporter Christine Brennan asked Connecticut Sun guard Dejounte Carrington after Carrington poked Indiana Fever superstar Caitlin Clark during a game last week. The WNBA came out and criticized Brennan for asking Carrington this question, and the ensuing discourse has added to the season-long narrative about how Clark has allegedly received contempt, both physically and verbally, from WNBA veterans who are reluctant to embrace her massive impact on the unprecedented attention women's basketball has received. This topic was the first thing women's sports icons Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe discussed during their Wednesday episode of the A Touch More podcast. Bird claimed that viral comments Taurasi made about Clark during an ESPN SportsCenter show from earlier this year started this narrative. "It started with me and Diana in our show getting interviewed by Scott Van Pelt," Bird said, and Diana having her response. Scott Van Pelt did ask Diana a question about rookies. Bird is referring to when SVP asked what the WNBA will have in store when Clark, who was then still an Iowa Hawkeye, arrives, and Taurasi said, "Look, SVP, reality is coming. There are levels to this thing. You look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're gonna come play with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time." Once Diana's comments went viral, it led to the Twitter trolls and bots taking over. What started there was this narrative of petty, jealous players hating on Caitlin. Bird then said on Wednesday, "That's really what happened. That's where it started. That we must just dislike her, that we look at her side-eyed, that we don't want her to come into the WNBA and be successful. So we're petty and we're jealous. And from there, when we get to the start of the WNBA season, this narrative is already planted in people's heads," Bird continued. Bird then discussed how frustrating it was for her, because WNBA players were having basketball conversations, which are always worth having, about Clark, Angel Reese, and the other rookies, but the media was turning it into something more. Bird seemed to nail it on the head with this one.